What is the greatest Nickelodeon TV show of all time? Any other answer is just wrong. Sure, people can say what their favorites are and have those opinions, that's fine. However, if you look at the literary metrics associated with storytelling, Avatar is the only show that pretty much checks every box and does it well. It's character-driven, with almost every single character going through some kind of major development arc. Its world-building elements are extremely detailed, giving it a very rich setting. Its blend of action, humor, and drama is balanced almost perfectly. It has themes of redemption, empathy, wisdom, friendship. I can go on and on. I've watched the series with my children 3 times. Hey Arnold, I think, is the greatest Nicktoon by far and probably one of the most accurate and honest animated contributions about the day-to-day life of American city kids. It has so many genius things going for it: the soundtrack, the colored pencil aesthetic, the effortlessly diverse cast, and the true-to-life feeling of growing up in a city. The stories had morals but were never didactic or patronizing. The stories were also phenomenal, especially the ones that revolved around Helga. There's the episode where she sabotages her nanny by making it look like the nanny stole Helga's father's prized belt. With the guilt eating her alive, Helga finds the nanny in the park and the conversation stuck with me forever. Helga, so Inga, have you found another job yet? No Helga, there is no job in my future. I can't stand this. I have to tell you, I know why Dad thought you stole his belt. We both know Helga. You put it under my bed to make trouble for me. What else was I supposed to do? You were making me miserable. There's no excuse for what you did, Helga. Now you must face the consequences. Consequences? What consequences? I got away with it, didn't I? You're such an angry girl, Helga, and you won't let anyone help you. So you must live with your unhappiness. That Christmas episode, man. Arnold and Helga team up to help Mr. Nguyen reunite with his long-lost daughter he put on a chopper at the fall of Saigon. That was the Christmas episode. Nostalgia aside, Hey Arnold is a masterclass in storytelling and character building for a wide audience, kids and adults alike. Not to mention the art style alone, one of the best cartoons of all time. Historically, it probably has to be Double Dare. It was the proof of concept for so much of what they were able to do over the next decade, and where programming for that age range was able to go as a whole. Double Dare not taking off would have been awful. Look at the programming for that age range before and after the late 80s. A lot of that is spawned off the success of that show, both intentionally and unintentionally. I think the only competing live-action show for kids that age at that time was 3, 2, 1 Contact. The creators of the Carmen Sandiego TV show credit Nick and Double Dare for getting PBS to be more open to going wide with programs for that age range that weren't primarily education-based, but could have education as an overall theme. I'm also here to rep Invader Zim. I generally like Cartoon Network over Nick, but outside of Adult Swim, I'm rarely surprised by any of the tunes on CN like I am sometimes by Nick. Ren and Stimpy, Rocco, Invader Zim, whose brilliant idea was it to give the Johnny the Homicidal Maniacs creator a show? Whoever it was, give them a freaking medal. This is the best answer. The original Doug is super relatable. He had a crush on a girl that he was always afraid to tell out of fear of rejection. He only had one close friend he trusted. He was constantly picked on by a guy that was an asshole for no reason. He had a tendency to overthink everything, and always imagined himself in super embarrassing scenarios. Doug illustrated what anxiety is like for a kid in school. Hell goddamn yes, that show kicked all sorts of ass. Pete and Pete was the first show where I thought I was going to suffocate from laughing. It was the episode where one of Pete's friends wore nose plugs so when he laughed while drinking milk, it wouldn't shoot out of his nose. Something happened that caused it to shoot out of his ears instead, and I vividly remember being on the floor laughing hysterically. This thread is filled with hipsters, early millennials answering with whatever show they probably first watched but haven't seen since they were 6. Like really? You're telling me The Adventures of Pete and Pete is some masterpiece, or that a game show for children is the best thing the network put out in several decades? Come on now. Ren and Stimpy, we couldn't have had SpongeBob, The Simpsons, Rick and Morty or a ton of other great shows without it. John K. was, is, and will continue to be a fucking monster. But the rest of the crew who worked on that show under him over the years, especially some of the women like Lynn Naylor, Kelly Armstrong, Katie Rice, among countless others, are for me some of my greatest art inspirations and are some of the most admirable folks for helping to kickstart a renaissance in American animation the way they did, despite the incredibly hostile work environment. The Fairly Odd Parents, the older seasons. I still listen to the opening to this day, and I also want to put this show called Breadwinners. It ran from 2014 to 2016 and a show that's made in 2014 except butt jokes, gross out humor, and a lot of twerking. The show got cancelled with 2 seasons cues of the lack of viewership. I only remember this show because it created my online nickname. In the show the character has a stereotypical fat friend named Budus. He had a nickname named Bap, and so I took that nickname and made it my own. Man, tough. I gotta go my top 3 though. Hey Arnold, Wild Thornberries, Doug. I don't remember a whole lot about Doug, but it was a very chill show from what I do remember. The other 2 are GOAT status though. Edit. Nah, I take this entire comment back. Number 1 is at Real Monsters or Angry Beavers. Having a tough time with this one. Grimm's Fairy Tale Classics. Are you afraid of the dark? Salute your shorts, freshman. Though the real best show wasn't a show, it was the short cartoons they'd play like Inside Out Boy and the one with the black cat trying to sleep and the goat man cracking an egg that someone else lived in. It's amazing how so many generations of people are chiming in on this. I love seeing everything from You Can't Do That on television down to Avatar listed. So much great TV over the years. I think Avatar might be the best, but I'll always have a super soft spot for Salute Your Shorts, Hey Dude, and Pete and Pete. That's like making me choose my favorite baby. The iconic and timeless SpongeBob, which gets more relatable and funny as adults. We're all SpongeBob. Patrick, who grow up to be Squidward. The highly underrated Saul of Hey Arnold, With its beautiful jazz soundtrack filled with an amazing cast of characters and moments, Avatar has always been an amazing show but was something I never truly appreciated as a kid. I loved it but it completely aged beautifully, especially with the boom of anime. All three I have shown to my siblings and they loved them all. But I'd have to choose SpongeBob. I quote it non-stop to this day. Fox has The Simpsons and Nickelodeon has SpongeBob. They are honestly comparable in terms of cultural impact. No other Nick show has risen to that level of critical acclaim. The sheer amount of SpongeBob quotes I drop on a daily basis while working for the government is second in not only to the number of people that understand them and laugh. Krusty a triple ab pizza ... It's the pizza yeah for you and me 33 Nose. Pitbull ripped part of my nose off. Chin. Split my chin open on a marble glass windowsill in Las Vegas when I was a kid. Lip. Bit through it when I was a kid. Shoulder. Third-degree burns from a exhaust port on a water truck. Arm. Slipped on wooden stairs after my dad opted to use pledge cleaner and fell and sliced my arm open on the wall. Legs. Vinyl siding while working at an old job. Forearm. Ex-girlfriend's cat clawed me. Oh yeah, definitely I am okay. Interesting thing about two of my scars. The Pitbull one. Never got stitches and never went to the hospital, just taped it up, put a bandage on it and called it a day. Just got a mild scar left, the rest healed on its own. And that third-degree burn one, never went to the hospital on that either, but aloe on it, wrapped it up and that healed, although got a permanent scar of 4 screws and the manifold outlined in my arm which looks like a flag lol. I like your ordering style so I'll copy it. Forehead. Fell onto a fireplace mantle as a kindergartner. Elbows. Fell off my bike and slid down a steep asphalt road. Forearms. 2 cat bites, numerous cat scratches, and 1 dog bite. Fingers. Countless knife accidents and burns while cooking. Knees. Aforementioned bike accident. Left ankle. Molten plastic burn from playing with fire. Right ankle. Fireworks. People with exciting childhoods unite. Same but meat sauce not cheese. Mom asked me to stir the sauce before leaving to the beach. We live like not even 2 blocks away, so I was stirring until the spoon got caught on a piece of like pork or sausage and when I pulled it splashed onto me and burned like fuck. Left a gross scar on my like lower abdomen but it's pretty much gone. Edit I meant to mention the beach because I was in a bathing suit. I have acne scars all over my arms, chest and back. I'm a renowned pimple popper and I've been picking at my skin ever since I started getting acne. I'm in 20s now and I'm trying my best to stop but I still find myself standing in front of the bathroom mirror for hours looking for the next juicy pimple to pop. SMH. I also have a scar on my forehead that I got when I was little when my sister pushed me off the bed and my head landed on the edge of a dresser lol. It's been years since I did, but thank you for this. It's nice reading support when you don't get much, especially from someone who's been there. Sometimes I feel like a damn fraud who cut for attention, but I know that's not true because I rarely told anyone and kept them in hideable spots. I just feel like I'm faking all my issues. Even though I'm diagnosed and got it well institutionalized, I try to talk about things that bother me and get told to quit complaining. I'm too old to be acting how I do, and I never feel like I'm being over the top until afterwards. Looking back, I just wish it was easier to change my mentality and habits. It sucks when it doesn't feel like your brain belongs to you. I know exactly what you mean. When I tried to ask my family for help, all they told me was that there were so many other people out there who had it worse than me, so I had no reason to be depressed. That always made me feel so much worse. I already had so many self-worth issues, so to imagine that I wasn't even good enough at being mentally ill made me feel terrible. But in the end, I came to understand that mental illness doesn't care about your place in life. It doesn't care if you have a roof over your head, or a stable family life, or how much money is in your bank account. It will hurt anyone it wants to, and those of us who have struggled with our mental health do not have to be ashamed. Be kind to yourself that right there, not just in the present, but to the yourself of yesterday in your memories, to the yourself you'd like to meet in the future. Remember that kindness is hard sometimes, but you are worth the effort. I have rather visible self-harm scars from elbow to wrist, and hip to ankle. Haven't cut in about 11 years now. Wow, didn't realize it's been so long. Am I a grown-up or something now? I remember feeling so alone, so trapped in the cycle, dragging myself out. I spent so much time thinking I'd never love my body with scars, hating myself for making them. Looking back, I was going through a lot. I did not have the skills or support system to deal with. I did what I could with what I had. Sure, I still see my scars sometimes and wish I were unblemished, but they are a chapter of my life I will always carry with me, and anyone who has a problem with them is not someone I want in my life. When I got stabbed, they used batteries they basically empty and then fold over to create a box cutter. 45 stitches in my neck and chest, 17 in my stomach, 8 in my leg somehow. Huge scars that are still very noticeable. So I guess they more sliced than stabbed there. I got stabbed like 15 times with a piece of fence someone got called a poker, maybe went 3 or 4 inches in. Those all went into the side of my ribcage, and let me tell you, that shit hurts. Not sharp, just basically a blunt metal thin piece of chain link fence. Makes an audible popping sound as it breaks the skin. After a few, when the blood starts to flow, it sounds like how you'd imagine stabbing a gallon of milk would sound, but almost like this pasta sound as well. Squishy noises. Because I'm white, I guess. I was one of 2 white guys in a dorm with 38 black guys. They tried to extort me for my food and canteen. I used to fight at a fairly high level, so once I beat up one guy, they lined me up, which basically means they don't jump you but they make you fight like 15 guys in a row. Win or lose, you just keep fighting or keep getting beaten, one of the other. The goal is to make you break it off, which just means basically pay the gang members with your items for protection from them, lol. So after getting lined up, I did pretty well for the first 8 to 10 before the fatigue set in and I couldn't really fight anymore, but I still wouldn't give up my stuff, so they held me down and stabbed me in the ribs with the fence poker, poured boiling water on me, and then just kept choking me unconscious, letting me wake up and repeating the process. Finally I just played dead and they stopped. Ended up in medical for 2 weeks. My face was swollen shut for like 10 days. I got transferred after that, which was only like 10 days into my stay. Lol. Went to a different prison where we actually had cells with only 2 guys and a decent number of white guys. The white guys slashed me up because I refused to do it to my friend who was getting it done to him for sharing a bag of chips with a Mexican guy, which is a major no-go. So since I refused, they tried to take me off the compound. Came up behind me in line, grabbed my face, put the box cutter under my armpit to my neck and ripped it down. Got me a few times during the scuffle. Well, most of them are on my hands. People either assume I'm a badass and get into fights, or a dumbass who fights walls. Neither are true, I'm just clumsy AF. I got when my sister was holding a potato peeler and I didn't see it and went to grab some food she was preparing. I tripped and accidentally punched through a lampshade. The metal wiring inside took out a decent chunk. Accidentally dropped my knife while woodworking, cut my finger to the bone. At an amusement park with my friends. Decided to race one to the next ride and accidentally collided with one of those stone trash cans. Ripped skin about half the size of a penny of one of my knuckles. At the deepest point it went to the bone. I did clap push-ups and knuckles push-ups and decided to combine them for disastrous results. My hands are peppered with smaller, barely visible scars from basically anything you can imagine a dumb teen doing. Barbed wire been there, girlfriend's nails done that. Edit. Also have one on my thigh because OE of my friends accidentally stabbed me with my own knife. Head. Cousin whacked me with a hockey stick when we were playing a game as kids. Leg. car accident tore 2 muscles in my knee and required surgery to repair. Right wrist, super tiny scar that looks like an acne scar, had a really bad pulmonary embolism, and they went in through my wrist to look at my heart to make sure the stress on my lungs wasn't doing damage to my heart. It wasn't, so we were able to treat the embolism with medication rather than surgery. Brushed by a minivan who was not paying attention and clipped my while I was riding my bike. I did a forward flip and slid on the ground, losing much skin on my right shoulder. When I was 8, cute kid I get angry, smack human, me, claw stuck in my arm rips down my arm as I pull it away. 2-inch long gash still visible. Cute 8-week-old puppy dog licking my face takes a chomp at my upper lip. Needled tooth goes all the way through. Thanksgiving Day trip to to get it cleaned and stitched. I drooled on myself from the anesthetic throughout dinner. Dog and I never spoke of it again his 12-year life. All-time great dog he was. Picked up a payphone receiver. Yes, children. Once upon a time, there were public payphones. Someone had booby-trapped with a razor and have a scar that looks like I tried to cut wrist, except nowhere near a vein thankfully.